What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Lost Records Journal, Player One versus the World's Lost Records Focus podcast. I am one of your hosts, Adnan. My co-host Adam is here. Adam, you here?
I am here. I am wearing a shirt that has Japanese letters that I know what they say.
Oh, yeah. What we got there?
It's a furawazu. It means flowers in Japanese.
I should have got the hint there with the flowers. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's flowers. Yeah. But yeah, I think I my pronunciation is bad, but even in English, my pronunciation is bad. Like I said, so in Philly, you don't say water, you say, yo, pass me that water. You say water in there. Yeah. So like even my English pronunciation is like awful. So anybody, I'm sorry, I'm not good at pronunciation. Furawazu.
Have you had that shirt for a while?
Couple months, yeah. I found it in the Marshalls.
Nice. And we've got the cat back. The cat back look is back as well.
Cat back,
Big fan of that.
Yeah.
It is back. So yes. We are here for the Lost Records Journal. This is your Lost Records Focus podcast. And as always, well, before we start, and it always kills me, but just give us a bit of support, if anything. If you are new here, as always, please do consider dropping subscribe on the channel, turn notifications, like the video, and share with your friends. Helps support the channel, helps keep up to date with the channel. Over about 50% plus of the people who aren't subscribed to the channel come here. So if you do come here regularly, one click of the button, it helps us a lot. It just helps us build a bit of an audience here as well. And also, Lost Records Journal is available on all podcast services. You can check us out on Spotify with the video version. You can check us out on Apple Podcasts. We're available on all of them. We have about 42 followers on Spotify, so thank you so much for that. We've just crossed 200 plays across all podcast services, so that's great as well. And also 7 ratings, 5 stars on Lost Records Journal, which we greatly appreciate. And just an FYI as well, Google Podcast no longer works, so we've removed the link as well.
No.
Yeah.
I'm pissed.
Yes, you are. But if anything, basically Google has eliminated it. It's been moved to YouTube Music. So
God, like Google is so good at like keeping things like up to date. They never make something and close it down. They never do that. Why would Google do that?
Do you know what as well? Like they're such a weird company as well. Alphabet. Google.
Such a weird company, dude.
Like if they didn't have Google search and YouTube, they would have burnt through the furnace. Like they're like Microsoft. Microsoft has like a good like catalog of stuff, like the Azure cloud and like all the other stuff. But they own Skype, for example. Skype is still a thing, by the way.
Skype
Microsoft
is still a thing. Yeah,
it's still a thing. They're trying to like package it. They're trying to like remove ad tiers and stuff because they're trying to use it. They've basically crushed that app, if anything. But it's like with Google, for example, as you basically alluded to, they like crush all their phones that they make. They crush every other service, but basically because they made Stadia, everything in between. Stadia, I forgot about that. They insisted. Yeah, Stadia, everything like that with Google. It's just a bit weird. Like they own all these things and they fail, but basically because they have the two world's biggest search engines, YouTube, which you're watching this video on if you're on the YouTube service, and also Google, like Google search engine. So it's like they make so much money from that. Like YouTube's acquisition that Google paid for it, I think they paid like 1 point something billion for it. It's like the last quarter made like 8 billion or something, like just through adverts and stuff. And it's like, and you think about how many years they've had it, it's just making money, but it's basically like, as you said, Google, who could have fought with Google doing something like that? But anyway, get rid of Google because we don't talk about Google here. We talk about Lost Records Bloom and Rage. This is the first game from Don't Nod Montreal in the franchise. We know that it's greenlit for a series, but we're focusing specifically on Lost Records Bloom and Rage first. Obviously, we know the game has been pushed back to 2025, unfortunately, because of Life is Strange Double Exposure, but we are here because this is now a bi-weekly podcast and we got a lot of topics to talk about. So we move back and forth. We've got 2 topics here, one main topic, a little subtopic we're going to bring up, and it's kind of come at the right time. So Adam, I think we kind of like talked here, and I didn't even actually give you the show notes this time after your little snide jab to me on Strangecast being like, well, what could we possibly be talking about? But
me? I would never. I'm not that kind of person ever. Not me.
The evidence is on the internet. You're like, I don't know what we're going to record about. So I actually didn't send him anything, guys. So he's actually just found out like 10 minutes before the caller started what we're talking about. So Adam, the topic of this conversation is going to be Nora. I thought would be a very interesting one to talk about.
I'm shocked.
Yes. So I thought Nora would be a good one to talk about because we talked a lot about Swann Holloway so far. We actually know Swann's last name. We don't know Nora's last name. But Nora has been one of those characters that has stood out in the in the trailers that we've seen. One of the 4 girls, as we've seen as well. Music focused, if anything. And I'm going to throw a very lazy comparison out here. to start with, because obviously we know Michelle Luke are making these games, and also as well, like a lot of the Don't Nod Montreal team has also worked on Life is Strange. Is this our Chloe Price spiritual successor, but in her own unique kind of way?
I don't think so.
Yes.
Definitely not. No. Well, I mean, okay, to a sense, I think she might be Chloe, but not in the way that everybody thinks about. So I'll let you go, and then I'll do my thing.
Yeah, I threw it out as just because I don't really want to be like, oh well, you know, Swann's like Max and stuff. It's like, yeah, I think she's an interesting character. I think she's going to be like, we've seen in some of the trailers. I've seen like where she like lights a cigarette with Swann, and it's kind of like, you know, I think the relationship's going to be quite tempered, if anything. She like when I'm thinking about Oxenfree when we're on the beach and some of the characters you have a little bit of a zesty relationship with. I feel like that's going to be a character which will in the group will irk people, and I think maybe will irk the group characters, but I think will become a favorite among people. I think people are going to really resonate with that character because of like her temperament, if anything. So I'm kind of like intrigued by her.
You want to know my hot take?
Go on.
I think Swann's going to be the one that ticks everybody off.
Ooh.
I think Swann is going to have a vibe that like doesn't really meld with the group. And I think Nora will be just fine. Yeah. That would be my hot take.
That would be interesting. That would also make sense because Nora, Swann meets these girls in the summer. Like this is like that thing where they're not actually like close friends. So it's like Swann is introduced this like group of characters as it is, which would make sense as well. Because I think like Swann will do the Max kind of thing where it's like some people will really resonate with her. Some people will be like a bit, you know, I think it's one of those things that it's the Michelle kind of like way of like projecting yourself on the protagonist. He's spoken about like his own introvertness as well. But it's like, I think with Nora, yeah, I'm like, it's an interesting one because it's like I watched those trailers. I watched those like she seems quite confident. She's like played quite like a product. She just seems like one of the characters that's going to stand out in there. I think we've spoken about the original reveal trailer at the Game Awards, and also like you know at the end of the trailer. If you go and watch it, if you haven't seen it, I don't know if you haven't seen it, but if you go back and watch the trailer, all the girls like looking into the hole, and Nora is the only character that looks away for a minute and then looks back into the hole. It's very subtle, but it's the only character who doesn't seem to be affected by what is going on there. So I think like I hope she plays a central role. I hope I can kind of like forge a more effective relationship with her because I think like as you said, I think she's going to be the kind of person that might put certain people in their place. More so Swann be like, no, Swann. Yeah. It's like don't take a photo of the bird. It's like no. It's like you are.
Why would she say that? It's like stop it. Don't take that picture. Stop it.
Maybe it's because she's playing music and then she's like, she just turns over to look at a bird and she's like, come on, man. It's like, you know, it's like we're making music here, we're recording. It's like, you're recording this bird. It's like, like, come on. It's like, no, but I think she's got a vibe with her and that's like quite cool. I think like, I like her aesthetic, if anything, because obviously we know the game's set in the 90s. We haven't seen adult Nora yet, which I'm still very intrigued by as well. Because I'm not sure how they're going to create her as like a 2022 version because like you resonate with her a lot, like you know she's a bit of a musician, she's like emo punk grunge look with her. She's got a skateboard in the game, like you know in the early years as well. We see her like on the skateboards with the other characters, specifically Autumn. But I think like I'm kind of like intrigued by like the role she's going to play. I think she's going to be out of the four girls. I think they're going to all have equal weight. I think they're all going to have like quite an importance in the story. But the early little glimpses I've seen, I think she's going to play a bit more of a bigger role in terms of being closer to Swann, being like actually she's got like a more central role with other things in the game, more so because I spotted that one thing where she like looks away from the hole and looks at all the other characters, like all of them are transfixed on this hole. She's the only one that like, looks away. And then even aesthetically in some of the trailer shots, the lo-fi trailer that we saw, no, the Game Awards trailer, if we go back to that one, you see when she's like spinning in the forest and it's like, you know, she falls back. There's like quite a few shots where it seems like she's quite prolific, if anything, more so. And yeah, I'm kind of intrigued by where she goes in terms of the story, if anything. I'm going to ask you as well, do you think she's a love interest?
No, I don't think so. She might be, but I don't think she's going to be as prolific as everybody thinks that she is. I think she's going to be like Chloe in a way that she's putting on an image, but not in a way of like trying too hard to be punk. But I think she's going to be trying too hard to feel strong, if that makes any sense. So in a way of like feeling confident, but I can tell that maybe she is a character that doesn't have the greatest home life, maybe, and just puts on an image that she's fine. So like Chloe also didn't have the best home life either, but she portrayed herself in the way of just like, oh, I don't care. Like, I don't care about the world. The world doesn't love me anyway. Whereas I think Nora might be like saying, like, no, everything's fine. Everything's good. But in like on a deeper level, like, I think we're going to see that deeper level in her.
Do you think actually here's one because you keep saying it now, it's actually made me think about it because
Hmm.
maybe the Chloe comparison was very lazy to throw out straight away. I think more of a less
I don't think
lazy
it
one
was.
to throw out.
No, I don't think to defend you. I don't think it's lazy. More in the sense of Um, every artist has their style.
Yeah.
I think one big example. I just listened to Killer Mike's new album that just came out yesterday,
Mm.
and if you listen to Killer Mike has a style. Like he has a style. In fact, the beats he raps on, it like they have a style. So it's not
Sure.
really like saying like he sounds the same. He just has a style.
Hmm.
Um, but they all sound like each album sounds a little different, but they're still in the same
Yeah.
Killer Mike style. In the same way with Michelle Coe. Michelle Coe has a style. He has like his perspectives. And I think Nora will most likely like a lot of people once this game comes out. I think a lot of people will say like, oh, it's a lot like Chloe, but different from Chloe because it's still coming from Michelle Coe. It's still coming from the same creator as Chloe. He still has a style, but different. By the way, if you haven't listened to the Killer Mike album, it's a fantastic album. It's a response to when everybody hated him for winning the Grammys for best rap album. So good album. But yeah, I don't think it's lazy to say that she's gonna be like a Chloe-esque character.
Thank you for defending me before someone
Yeah.
jumps on me for that.
Yeah.
But I was going to put another comparison out because when you explained it to me, I think it was quite interesting because the first character that popped up in my head just then was Cassidy from Life is Strange 2.
Yeah, exactly.
And maybe she's like got parts. Like I would love, for example, if she like obviously I want her to be her own character, her own kind of like things. But I would love, for example, if she's out of the group, the character that embodies, for example, certain traits of Cassidy from Life is Strange 2, Chloe Price from Life is Strange 1, and then even maybe Karen Reynolds from Life is Strange 2, just personality and vibe wise. And I
Mhm.
think if you took those like three characters and took like certain aspects from them and put them into Nora, I think she could kind of be the character that really like because I don't think she's going to be, she's not like bubbly, and I don't know if she's actually bubbly. She seems quite confident, if anything, like
Well,
on
she
the music
seems. Yeah.
seems. Yeah, I think that's the kind of like the really great part about this game, where we're both excited, where it's like the characters have so much about them, where it's like we could easily get misled by it. Because even when you look at Kat, for example, she could be quite shy and in her
Mhm.
dungarees and everything else, but she could actually be the really powerful kind of like the or she's like the one that takes charge and like takes them into the forest and takes them to the cabin and causes all the kind of like
So,
havoc. What?
but yeah, like the seeming wise, I think that I think Michelle is going to go more into the emptiness of adolescence into this one. I think
Mm,
this is going to be the most accurate in terms of teenage life that I think Michelle has ever done because even you're seeing all these characters and they seem confident but then they also seem um held back. And I'm even
mm,
talking about since we're on the topic of Nora, right? Um I want to put this perspective in your head that like uh I think Nora will have a lot of depth and no depth at all.
mm,
I say that in a way of there's a psychology test, right? Where you're on a desert island and there's certain items that you have to think about, right? And each item represents what you think about something. I'm going to spoil one thing, right? I'm going to spoil one thing in this test, and that's you have to put a cube on your island, right? And then you have to just think about what the cube looks like. How big is it? What color is it? Right? A lot of teenagers when they hear this test, right? The cube is clear. It's translucent. There's nothing really there, and that's because the cube represents who you think you are as a person. A lot of teenagers don't know who they are. They're
mm.
still figuring things out. And that's why a lot of times they have like a cube that's translucent. They don't know. Like they're still figuring it out. Now, if you come across a teenager that's it's all gold, covered in gems, they're a psychopath. Spoiler, that was me. I thought my kid was solid gold, gems all over it. I was like, yeah, it's like that's how you think of yourself. I'm like, yeah, that's kind of accurate. Yeah.
Yeah, that's quite. Yeah, mine would be a black cube to represent
But
my empty soul.
wow,
Like,
okay, Lincoln Park. But
hey,
um
we love Link. We love. Let's see, look at Linkin Park '90s theme. Oh,
yeah,
the
Lincoln
kids these
Park,
days are missed out.
Paramore. Yeah. But
Oh,
no, like that's the thing about teenagers, like it's translucent. They don't know who they are.
mm,
They're still figuring out who they are as a person, which is why it's going to be really interesting when this game goes into the future and we see Nora. Now, here's a real question: who do we think Nora is in the future? Right?
she's a composer.
That's what we end up being. Um, people say they're okay and they're not. They become composers. Um, but that's the thing. Is like I think the biggest question is who do we think Nora will become as an adult? Because right now we only see
Mm,
her as a teenager and we only see her as somebody who thinks that they're strong. How are they going to end up as an adult? Do you think she'll show up? Kind of like, you know, how in the movie not everybody wanted to show up, and no spoilers here, but some people didn't show up, you know.
mm,
Um, even though that was a spoiler, I guess. If you haven't seen it, I'm sorry. Just like you haven't
yeah.
seen the original It, you haven't read the book, you haven't seen the new reboots. Spoilers. Some people don't come. So um, that's my thought process. It's just like who she is as an adult. You know.
Who do you think she is? Because let's contextualize it from what we've seen. Like, we don't know much about her personality, barring like certain interactions here and there. We're projecting kind of like feelings on her. I
Hmm.
think the more predominant one so far is the fact that she's a musician, but that could
Yes.
also be compensating for a lot of things in terms of like even maybe masking insecurities or whatever else, because also she might be putting her actual feelings into her music. And even as you said as well, maybe there is a little bit of a difference of a relationship with Swann, for example,
Hmm.
who's an introvert herself and has a completely different dynamic with the way of thinking potentially as Nora. What do you think she's going to be when she's older? Because that's going to be like,
Nora.
yeah,
I think actually, like, I think because I'm only saying this because I know who's writing it, right? I know it's Michelle Coe, and I know Michelle Coe as a writer is like I have a lot of expectations for him because he's great. It would be like saying like my next pieces of music will be great because you have a lot of expectations on me. Um, I think Nora's gonna grow up in an like she's gonna be in an abusive relationship. Like I don't think
okay,
she's going to be really still like any confident in herself, and um I think she's going to try to find love in other people, and she's not going to find that love. Do you know what I mean? So
yes,
I think we're going to find out that she's actually in not like maybe not like a physically abusive relationship, because I think that's a little too on the nose for Michelle Coe.
yeah,
Um, but I think there's going to be like some emotional abuse. There's going to be some gaslighting, and like Nora's not going to. I don't think she's even going to know who she is, even as an adult. And I think that's going to go into depth.
with a woman or a male, the relationship,
Male, yeah,
male.
yeah. Because
Interesting.
again, like if on the same side, like let's say Nora is gay, right?
Hmm.
But she's still not accepting that of herself. She doesn't know who she is. Let's go even more in depth. Like she is lying to herself and says
Yeah.
that, well, no, I'm straight. I have to be straight, and ends up with an abusive relationship with a man.
Mm. It, yeah, because like that in itself is a again spoiler. You're gonna have to go and watch it. You know, it kind of alludes to a storyline in it part two as well, where
Yes,
it's like
exactly.
a relation. And I think that jump is going to be significant because again, that game is made for people like us who have grown up with Life is Strange, for example, who are now in their like 20s, 30s. And obviously that time jump from going from like a young adolescent age to older is such a big one. And I think even as you said, it's like you might get to the older age, but you might not map out your identity, if anything. So even with Nora as well, like I don't really know what she could do. I don't know what a physical appearance could be either. She could like even grow out her hair, for example. She might
Yeah.
even completely change with that. I think even here as well, because I was thinking about it and I've only recently learned this as well. I think Nora might even follow in the footsteps of Don't Nod Montreal's very own Luke Bagados and start up her own thrash death metal band because Luke
Yeah.
was in a thrash death metal band in the past.
I'm sorry. What was this genre?
Death, thrash death metal band.
Are you adding an F to thrash?
Thrash,
Thrash.
thrash,
So
thrash.
say thank you.
Thank you.
I just there's there's a meme online with like British accents, and somebody said like instead of saying thank you, say and it says hold on, let me just type it to you.
God.
Okay, you say that in to Americans, it sounds like that.
Thank you.
Thank
Come
you.
Come on. I'm not having that. I'm not having any American tell us that we speak very differently in like a way that's unusual.
Yeah.
You guys say the way you spell color is already unforgivable. I've never
Well, I
forgiven
already
true
admitted
colours
that
like
I
that
say
way.
wooder.
But yeah, I recently learned that Luke was in a like a really hardcore like metal band, and
Yeah,
it's
I don't know
called
if it was it.
Kaizen.
Yeah, was it thrash metal? I didn't know it was thrash
Yeah,
metal. Yeah,
yeah, it's like proper. This is what this person's put on Reddit. Like, don't shoot me. It says thrash death metal band. When I listened to it, I was like, it seems on point in terms of like that genre, if anything.
yeah,
So maybe she like revives it in the game and like puts
yeah.
Luke's influence goes into that.
It could be like we don't know even like Luke's like direct past. We don't even know Michelle. Like we only know these people as like entities of creation. But
Mm,
like a lot of times, like Michelle is saying, like, "Hey, I'm putting a lot of who I am into Swann." We don't know what Luke's input is. Like Luke could be a lot like Nora. We don't know. Like if Michelle is so open that he's saying like I'm a lot like Swann, like he could have different life experiences into this. And the way that Don't Nod Montreal is building to be much more um what do I want to say about this? Um inclusive? Yeah,
yeah.
it wants to be more inclusive to other backgrounds. We could see like more accurate backgrounds even more than Life is Strange.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think it's gonna be a different game. Like because like that's the other thing as well. Like this game hasn't got the shackles of a publisher on it, so it's
Mhm.
got full creative freedom. Like Oscar Gilbert is not looking at Michelle being like you can't do that. It's gonna be like
Yeah.
you've had your like game already greenlit for a franchise, a series,
Mhm.
and it's like there's unbelievable faith in there. So it's like I think like this will probably be the first real like barring Life is Strange one where you see like a full
Yeah.
creative freedom of like creating whatever you want and like what you want to show. Um,
Well,
my
thank you
my
for that.
Yeah. Yeah. My guess is, and I'm just throwing this out as a wild one. I think she's going to be something quite quirky when she's older, and it
Mm.
might even be like she's as like a video game developer, a little bit, like on the nose as a nod of kind of thing, being like, that's what she is. As she's when she's older, she's like gone into a creative field of like working in game design or something.
I don't think it will be Nora. I think it will be who's the one with the overalls?
Cat,
Yeah, I think it might be Kat. Kat might be like an
cat.
indie game developer. She has indie game developer vibes to her.
I feel like that has to be something with like one of them when they're older, like because obviously
Yeah.
like the story is still set in the main chunk in like the 90s, and then obviously it'll like cut to like forward points in the future. But
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure we're gonna get like an illusion of like what they've actually doing when they're older, because that's like
Yeah.
101 for when you're older. It's like, oh, what are you doing as a job, and it's like I don't care. It's like it doesn't define me, but it's like the usual conversation for anyone in their 20s and 30s. Oh, what are you doing for a job? And it's like, that's when you
Yeah.
realize you're not in school anymore. But it's like, yeah, I think one of them is going to be a game developer. Maybe you're right with Kat, but I think like there's just something about it where like look at Nora, and because like the way she is and the way she acts and like what she's doing and the music she's in, I feel like she's going to end up in like that kind of thing. Maybe she is the composer.
Well,
Maybe she's the
again,
disgruntled
like I
composer.
don't think she will because like she's going to deny anything that she likes. She's just going to end up in because I'm always saying this because I relate to Nora. That
Mm,
was my childhood, and I didn't get back into music until my 30s. Like, you
yeah.
know what I mean? I just did a job because I felt like I had to, and I was just in a relationship with my family that I just wanted them to be appreciative of me. And then, like, when I got
Mm.
to my 30s, I'm like, wait, no, I hate this. And then I'm finally getting back into music, so I think that's going to be Nora. Like she's going to be really good at music. She's going to be really creative, but like She just wants appreciation from her family that she just like follows the footsteps, you know? So when she grows up, we're not going to see any of that. We're not going to see her in her creative side.
Adam, do you know what? I'm gonna throw this out there, actually. Well, let's make Kat the game developer, yeah.
Okay.
Nora, I think she's gonna be a record store owner.
Oh my God.
She's gonna own vinyls. She's still
Great.
looking for what she's doing. She's still looking for the future,
Yeah.
undecided, but I think she could position herself very much in a record store.
Children
even
who were in abusive relationships growing up are, vinyl collectors. I will admit that. Yes, we're all abused childs.
Well, maybe I think I think like she's going to be something along those lines. I think like that's an interesting dynamic that you're taking, if anything, where it's like she could be like the quite complex character, and it would be like
I'm only saying that because I know Michel as a writer. Like I've seen his writing, I've seen his style. I think he has the skill set to do that. Not just I think it, I know he has the skill set to do that. Versus anybody else. Again, we were talking about double exposure, and you're giving like a Kojima ending, and I'm like, this isn't Kojima writing it. This is a completely different person. But now we're talking about Michel Co's style. Now, if Kojima was writing Lost Records, then we could go into Nora is actually half cyborg, actually. And
that would make sense.
and she's the president of Korea, just like all of Korea.
That would be like, we'd be going down that towards those lines, if anything. I think like you're right as well, because like even actually, let's take about that kind of thing about Chloe, because it's like if she does take traits from Chloe, it's not like a rip off or like some lazy kind of usage of it. I mean, he created the character with like Jean-Luc and Raoul and the other Life is Don't Nod Devs, but I think like for example, he writes great stories with like Chloe, for example, who are fatherless character, for example, like when she loses William Price and then Dave Madsen steps in, she has a very troubled relationship with fathers. Ashley Birch talked about the relationship she had with Chloe Price and really resonated with that character because of like various things with like what she shows. Chloe's a very divisive figure, if anything. People love Chloe, some people hate Chloe, they despise her guts. I think potentially Nora could give that vibe off. Even one of the girls might be very much in that same vein where it's like they're like loved by some people and others just despise the guts. And I think like that's just gonna be a natural thing because it's like their writing team as well. It's like you have Jean-Luc, you have Michelle, you have Nina, Desiree. So you have like a very much like an American influence there as well from the other two female writers, I believe both of the female writers, and then also you have Jean-Luc and Michelle, obviously, who have written Life is Strange, which what they've done with that. So I think like you got quite like a lot of balance there with Nora. So I'm very excited to see what she does with that. To kind of wrap up the conversation, I imagine, because we're near the end of the the Nora conversation. Nora's story as well. Like, how important do you think she is in terms of like the other things that happen in the game, and more so in terms of like, because obviously we see a freaky sci-fi element in the game, and as I alluded to many times in the podcast, there's that moment where she like looks in the hole, looks at the other characters, and then looks back in the hole. She's the only character that does it. Do you think she maybe has like a resistance to said powers? Maybe she's like on the, and she's like not getting caught.
You haven't played Night in the Woods yet, have you?
No.
Yeah, I'm gonna need you to play Night in the Woods. But in Night in the Woods, there are certain characters that you have to specifically make a relationship with, and you don't get the depth of that character until you choose to have a relationship with that character. And I think that's where Nora lies in. I don't think she's going to be like integral to the main story, but I think you have to step out and talk with Nora like specifically to get the story, to get the depth, to get her part into the story. There's a character in Night in the Woods, and I'm trying to the bear in Night in the Woods, and I can't remember his name. Night in the Woods. Angus. Okay, thank you. But Angus is a very in-depth character that has a lot to do with the beliefs and the morality into the story, but you don't get that until you step out and talk with Angus. And I think that's where Nora is going to be. Like, she's not going to be a side character, but you have to make the decision.
I like that way of thinking. Do you and Do you think there could potentially be an option, like as you kind of alluded to before, that there could be a moment where she's one of the characters that doesn't turn up in the diner, for example, or do you think all four are definitely going to turn up?
I think all four have to show up. I don't think
Okay.
we're gonna get introduced to these characters or build a relationship with the characters. It's not like a movie, where the story is already set.
Mm.
If all four characters don't come into the diner or wherever we're gonna meet up, that's kind of like bad game development, because like then it doesn't give you the option to make your own story. Then the story is already written for you. That's not how game development or storytelling works. So yeah, I think excuse me, I think that everybody shows up. Yeah,
For sure. Yeah, I think it would make logical sense, because I think like whatever you define your past relationship with her will be very visible, because I think like she's probably going to be one of the characters that's like a little bit, a bit more assertive in terms of like, telling it as it is. Like, my belief is still that she's going to be quite like assertive. If anything, I think like she's going to be like, straight to the point, no BS, which I kind of like with the characters that they've written. For example, Chloe, for example, love that. It's just like straight to the point, like, no messing around with emotion. So yeah, I think that we'll leave it at that with Nora, if anything. So guys, do let us know what you think about Nora. Like, is she a character you resonate with? Is she one that you're interested in? Where do you stand on things? Let us know.
how
in
do
the
you say
let
thank
us know in the
you?
comments. Not that again. Anyway, I'm going to ignore him for that. We're going to move into our other topic quickly. And I'm actually going to try these other features. So you might not even get this episode, depending on how much I break this computer, if anything, and this software. So I think we've done this for the other Lost Records video that I did on the channel, which you can check. We're down in these little two corners as well. And we're trying to like make it interactive so you guys can see. But I also mentioned this to Adam because conveniently they posted this on the 2nd of August, the 3rd of August. We're recording, so I showed Adam. He thought this was really quite cool. So it's a Lost Records tweet, and it says Michigan's rich bird life, influenced by its diverse ecosystem and strategic location along migration routes, offers bird watchers a chance to observe a wide array of species throughout the year. Being attentive is essential for spotting them. So you obviously have here, you have different things. I'm going to try and move this quickly as well. If you can scroll down, you see us here in the comments, which is quite nice. Michelle actually liked that tweet, which I'm going to give it, big thumbs up for myself there. So that's that. So I'm going to end that quickly. So we're going to leave this and we're back here. So I thought I'd share that so you guys can see it as well. Adam, obviously there's like quite a few things here to talk about that. I'm going to start off quickly here and I'm going to get off this tweet. I'm going to actually, let's start off with the thing of the actual, like the screenshots, because it seems to allude that potentially the poster could be like a collectible scenario in Lost Records.
Okay.
And the collectible is filming the birds. So you might be able to get into certain locations and you have to film the birds and it registers as a collectible, very much similar to Max's photos taking on certain things.
I want to see if I can screen share. Hold on.
I don't think you
Because
get permission.
let's find out. Oh, it's waiting for a host.
Oh, I think we can.
So yeah, we have here a little bird with the question mark around here. So I think that's alluding to definitely. Sorry. So I just wanted to share that real quick. That it is a collectible.
I like it.
You know what I mean? So when you made your point of just like, oh yeah, well, like, are we going to find something? Are we going to do something? And I think the question mark really ties into that. Yeah.
And that bird is the northern cardinal bird on the poster. So it's smack bang in the center. So it's birds in Michigan. It's a beautiful poster, and it's northern cardinal. I believe I commented on the Lost Records Instagram page saying northern cardinal is the mood of today's vibe. Just when you zoom into it, it looks. I was like, very much that's my mood, if anything. But if you take what you said, Adam, which is the question marks, I imagine if you film it or you as you do on Swann's camera, it will like mark the poster, being like. You've collected the Northern Cardinal, so which will be quite nice to have. I like it as well. I'm a big fan of it because it's an evolution of what we saw in Life is Strange 1. Because obviously, Life is Strange 1, we had the Max takes a picture in certain scenarios. We obviously had Sean's sketchbook in Life is Strange 2. I'm kind of keen with this as well because it adds another dynamic to it. I think we've talked about the camera in a previous episode as well. It adds that kind of like another layer through the optics of Swann Holloway because like she's obviously quite an avid bird watcher. If you look in the window as well, Adam, actually, let me see if I'm going to try and screen share again here. Might as well take advantage of this software whilst we have it. If you look here, Adam, in this photo on the screen, As you can see, you have a mushroom in the top left corner,
Yes.
and we know that's Swann's bedroom because Swann has that has her giant has her giant mushroom in that other thing. So it seems like that's going to be hers, and obviously you see the bird. So I imagine that's like, for example, I'm going to stop sharing it. So it's probably a scene where you're in Swann's house, and you can kind of like do little things where you interact with things, and then obviously look out the window. There's the bird. Film it. Collectibles stored. Very much similar to Outlast. When Miles is it, where he like takes notes. You can record scenes, and it's like he takes a note of something that you might have like you wouldn't otherwise get. It seems like that, but this is like more collectible vein, and I'm all keen for it as well. I love that they're steeping it in Michigan. Like it's like that kind of thing with like, do you when they went to they made Life is Strange 1, and it's like Oregon, and they have like that kind of thing with Arcadia Bay. It feels like it feels real. Like it's just not, it has like a depth to it. We talked about in the last episode, Velvet Cove. Velvet Cove has like a depth to it. It feels like a town which someone is going to play this game, probably like me, and then go and end up going to Michigan and being like, I want to see the locations of like where certain things have been taken inspiration from. And that's really quite cool because it feels like, we're steeping ourselves in like Michigan, like, culture. I don't know whether these birds all are there. Obviously, I assume they are, if anything. But it is quite nice to see that. And
Wait, what do you mean by where they are?
What do you mean?
Oh, I thought you said like I don't know where these birds are. Is that what you said?
Oh, I meant like in terms of like, are they in just like one area of Michigan, or like are they in like the entire state, or is it like?
Well, I'm about to say that like they're very much Midwest birds because I've seen great blue herons around here in North Dakota. Like I see them like near my house. Yeah. Canada goose. They suck. I hate the gooses here. Gooses are awful, dude. Cause like here's the thing, like they come in armies around here in North Dakota. And if you're on like a morning walk, if you even walk like they're like 15 feet away from you, right? You're a good distance away. Dude, I'm not kidding you. They will hiss at you. They'll go and like they've got teeth, dude. Like Canada gooses, like they're like dominant. They get scary.
You do not need to tell me about geese. So for example, here's a bit of backstory. I studied my degree at York University in the UK. Okay. York University's campus, if you ever go to it, if you ever live in England, go to it. It's about 50% geese, if not more. In the summer spring season, they have they have their babies, and then they get aggressive. Like one of the girls couldn't. They're
aggressive, dude. Yeah.
And one of the girls couldn't even get out the dorm flat because like this geese was with its babies in front of the door, and every time she opened it, it was like this, like flapping its wings at her.
Yeah,
and she was like scared. Like they are a
jerks,
nightmare.
Dude. Yeah,
they are. They got attitude. They've probably got like a Nora. I'm gonna say they got Nora attitude. If anything, these geese, they just don't play games. And yeah, I know all about geese. If anything, so it's like when I saw it, I was like, I like automatically like ignored that part of the post. I'm like, I don't want to talk about geese. I don't want to see them. They are just like just infuriating. But Adam, as well, on that poster, which bird would be your spirit animal?
My spirit animal?
Yeah, if you're going to be one of those birds.
The goose.
Which one?
The
Canada goose.
Yeah, the only goose on there, because I'm aggressive and I'm also a silly goose.
You can't be Canada goose. I'm gonna be the Northern Cardinal. It's got my face. I believe that's inspired by me as well. They've definitely like using my facial features for that bird's like positioning and like
Jeez,
I think it resonates very much resonates with me. But no, I like it. I love the vibe with that. It fits in with her MO as well with Swann because again she meets these characters like on this summer trip that she's going. Like she's like in Velvet Cove. She meets a bunch of girls. They've shown us forest. They've shown us wildlife. She's got a camera. It seems like the kind of thing that she's going to be doing, and it gives a bit more depth to who she is. And I'm kind of keen to like seeing like where we go with this and like I just love the vibe, if anything, with that. So I'm all for that, if anything. So yeah,
I should say I can't wait to see the Raven in this game because ravens are massive, dude. Like, have you ever seen like a raven in real life?
I've never actually seen a raven. No, the only ravens I've had experience are from games.
Okay, yeah, ravens are massive, dude. Like they're big birds.
In
dude.
Pennsylvania?
I've seen them out here.
Really?
Yeah. Like we have a zoo that they have ravens, but I've also seen ravens just like flying around like some places, like only once or twice. But the ravens I've seen in the zoo here, they're big birds too. Like they're actually. Yeah. Like,
I never assumed they were big. I thought they were quite like. I thought they were like average, if any. I thought
So
they were
that's
average, if anything.
yeah, crow is like gonna be different. Like crows are that average size, but then ravens are big ones. They're big ones. So
Yeah, I feel like I'm conflicting ravens with crows there. If anything, I think like that's why my things happen. But no, that's quite. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where they put those as well, because like obviously ravens do signify different omens depending on like what culture you're in. If anything, obviously it's not their game, but like before the storm, like the raven was a big emphasis that they put in that. But it's like it'll be interesting to see what these guys do with like a raven, if anything. So Adam, I usually try and keep this under an hour as well, because like this is what Lost Records Journal is. But let's just quickly do one more screen share. I hope people are enjoying this as well, because it's a nice little feature of our recording software. Take you back to this image, which seems to be obviously Swann's bedroom, if anything.
Yes,
cactus there in the corner. Lisa the plant's spiritual successor.
absolutely
do you think we
not.
can kill it?
Because when like a cacti is actually like a good beginner plant, because they're really, really hard to kill. Like you can't really kill a
Really?
like again, like they're desert plants, so they're used to like not having a lot of water. So you can go like a month without watering a cactus, and they'll just be fine, because like they survive off of like desert conditions. So that's all to say. I have killed a cactus before.
God.
In my beginning stages as a plant dad. Yeah, I had a moon cactus, and dude, I don't know what happened.
Wow.
Like, I don't know what happened. Maybe I overwatered it. Maybe that's how you kill Lisa. You overwater it. So maybe you can.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Tragic for me that.
If you water it once, it's dead. Yeah, no, the cacti are pretty easy to take care of, though. And yet I killed it.
Yeah, I've never owned a cactus. I would actually like to own one at some point. I'd call it Barry if I had the chance.
Barry.
I don't know why I'd call it Barry, but it'd be called Barry the cactus. It's called Barry the cactus. Two things, Adam, before we wrap up here as well. If you can see here, and you can see my mouse cursor, there's the water tower in the background, as we've seen in the other artwork. So obviously, Swann has got the big vibe of like a look here, and obviously you have like all these like lights. I don't know if they're fairy lights or something, but then also as well in the corner we have some butterflies, which hopefully we see a Life is Strange reference.
A blue one at least,
kind of keen on. Fingers, I would. By the way, as well, that would be the perfect Easter egg if it was just a blue butterfly and you film it, and it like unlocks a trophy where it's like it's called Chaos Fury or something as a reference.
Cool.
I'll lose my head if that happened. But I think should we wrap up there?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think that's a good way of ending it. But yeah, let us know what you think, guys, about the birds. Let us know what you think about Nora. Obviously, again, we are keeping the conversation going with Lost Records, and we'll continue to keep it going up until release, and hopefully even more beyond that as well. So thank you for joining us. One more time, if you are new here, please do consider dropping a like on the channel. Subscribe, comment as well. Again, help support a very small channel. We are a very small channel, so any support you can give us, it helps keep this channel afloat and keeps it reaching to more people. And Lost Records Journal available on all podcast services. So we're available on Spotify with the video version, we're available on Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music. We're available on everything, so you can go and check us out on that and rate us as well. But yeah, this is our first episode of Lost Records Journal for August. There will be another one later this month, I think, depending on what the schedules are. I think, there's definitely one later this month. Let us know what you think about those birds. Let us know if you like the video sharing feature, because if so, we can integrate it into Strangecast, because it might even be easier for some of the news topics when we read them. You can see them as well, because obviously maybe the video element does help with that. But yeah, hope you enjoyed that. Let us know what you think, and stay tuned. We're back later this month with more Lost Records episodes, and obviously hopefully more Lost Records content as well being revealed. Until then, guys, take care. See you later. Bye.
Later.